We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin. The talk today is all about Biden's press conference. So let's get to it. Now, let's divide this into sections because you have the president's performance, we have the content of the talk, and we have the press itself. So let's jump in. Starting with the performance. Giving credit where credit is due, Biden looked presidential for most of the conference. He delivered his opening comments clearly and came across with a strong image. Unfortunately, that diminished as the press conference went on. It was the longest presidential press conference in recent history, and clearly he was not up to it. As reporters started pushing back on what he was saying and actually asking questions that criticized, he got angrier and angrier. By the end, you could see his lack of focus. It became obvious that he can only be alert for relatively short periods of time. He was actually asked about a poll where most Americans said they do not believe he is mentally fit. And his response was almost useless. He sidestepped the question. But this press conference highlighted why people think that way. Now, the content of the press conference was much worse than the presentation. To start with, his opening statements simply repeated what he has said previously. In fact, at the beginning, I double-checked what I was watching because I thought I was watching clips of old speeches. Despite the disastrous results of his policies, he actually doubled down on his agenda. The biggest gaffe he made was when Biden said that if Russia had a, quote, minor incursion, unquote, into Ukraine, there might not be consequences. Biden essentially gave Putin permission to invade the Ukraine. This comment was so bad that Jen Psaki started doing cleanup almost as soon as the conference ended. Both she and Kamala Harris have been appearing on news shows to walk back that comment. So how bad is it when the President of the United States tells publicly another leader that it's okay if he invades a country and the rest of his administration has to go into overdrive to say, no, that's not what he meant. There will be consequences. This was a disaster for Biden, that comment. Now, his comments on Afghanistan also showed a remarkable lack of awareness. He still believes that the Afghanistan surrender was a success. While he did show some remorse over the deaths that have occurred and that Afghanistan has plunged into chaos, he still believes the withdrawal couldn't have gone better. And both this and the Russia comments basically just go to highlight what Robert Gates said previously, that for the past 50 years, Joe Biden has been wrong on every foreign policy decision he's made. Now, Biden also stated that he doesn't believe the polls. He thinks he's popular with the American people. This despite numerous polls showing that he is losing support among his own party and has lost the support of independents. The recent Quinnipiac poll actually showed his support among Hispanics is down to 24%, and his support among independents is at 28%. He believes that it's a communications problem, and as such, he will be on the road more to talk to the American people, especially in the midterm elections. Now, given the help that Joe Biden gave to Terry McAuliffe in the 2021 Virginia gubernatorial election, this might not thrill Democrats. He's so out of touch with his own talking points that he even went so far to deny what he said in the comments that he made in the Georgia speech, comparing his opponents to George Wallace and Jefferson Davis. He's trying to claim that everything is a communication issue, and it has nothing to do with his actual policies. Now, Biden campaigned on uniting the country, but he actually did admit to not reaching out to Republicans. However, at the same time, he blamed Republicans for his inability to get his agenda through. He claimed the only thing Republicans were standing for was to stop his agenda. This is despite the fact that his agenda has been halted by divisions in the Democratic Party. He has refused to accept responsibility for anything, blaming Republicans over and over. I guess maybe he thinks Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are Republicans now. I think he's completely neglected the fact that the moderates in the party and the left are completely at odds. And in fact, he was asked by one reporter why he insists on trying to pull the party to the left, and he denied doing so. The most bizarre comment came when he claimed to have overperformed expectations. Well, in one sense, he's right. No one expected him to fail so badly so quickly. Finally, let's look at the press. And while the press was derelict in not bringing up rising crime rates, barely touching on the southern border, and not pushing on issues that the American people have repeatedly said are most important to them, it is obvious that the Biden honeymoon is over. Reporters are clearly frustrated with the administration. Despite Jen Psaki claiming that Biden has taken questions 251 times, this is only the second press conference Biden has held nationally. He answered questions overseas, but barely, and he actually had encouraged the foreign leaders he was meeting with not to take questions. So he's been inaccessible to the press, and they've had it with him, especially given the fact that they gave him carte blanche during the election. The press did not hold back this time, and the fact-checking on his comments began almost immediately. And this is where we saw across the political spectrum reporters coming back saying, no, this is not true, this is not true. Most of what Biden has said in this press conference has turned out to be exaggerated at best and completely wrong at worst. All in all, we saw a president that is completely unaware of what is really going on in America and is divorced from reality. That's the raw, naked truth. If you have a topic you'd like us to look into, you can contact us at xvadio.com/connect. You can catch every episode of Raw Naked Truth, as well as the rest of the Xvadio podcast network at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and wherever you find podcasts. We'll see you next time.